So, while I like the regular old K-dramas, I have to admit they aren't perfect. And while imperfection normally doesn't hinder me from watching more and more series, there are some certain details that are in serious need of change. From repetitive to downright annoying tropes, today, we are discussing K-drama details so annoying they need to go. Number 1. Underdeveloped female characters. As a K-drama fan, you are probably aware of the term second lead syndrome, wherein the second lead stole the audience's hearts for being kinder, better in looks, and perhaps also more capable. However, while the term suggests that it encompasses all of the second leads, we usually only mean the second male leads when talking of it. And that's not without reason. As viewers, we always see the second male leads painted in the best light. They are rich, handsome, gentle, and do all sorts of heart-fluttering gestures while chasing for the heart of the female lead. In comparison, second female leads in K-dramas generally aren't characters to be fond of. They're either cunning and annoying, downright bullies, or just pure evil. They often butt heads with the female lead, try to steal the male lead, or are just out there ruining everyone's lives. There have recently been better second female leads hitting the shows, but honestly, the trend of evil women and angelic men prevails, and it never stops getting on my nerves. Another thing is that poor writing regarding female characters extends to female leads as well. We often see female leads being plot devices, aka getting kidnapped and attracting men and looking gorgeous, instead of being actual characters. Sure, they do give female leads a fair share of struggles, but most of her problems always end up being solved by a handsome man, while she would weep all prettily and be his damsel in distress. Like, I do not mind feminine women being physically weak, but she needs to have a personality, other than being just the love interest. Thankfully, there has been a rise in stronger female leads over time, and I have been loving it. However, another issue arose, where stronger and interesting female figures would later lose all their powers, and suddenly need male help. There are some very famous shows guilty of this, and it is always the most frustrating thing. Number 2. Good first half, terrible second half. Okay, if the problem above is at least being somewhat solved, this second problem, when a K-drama starts super solid with decent writing, only to totally plummet in later episodes, is something that the industry never came close to overcoming. Now, if you hadn't known, it's very rare that a K-drama is written fully beforehand. Most often, actors were cast with very vague ideas, or at most, with half of the script. And so things like unplanned scenes and ad-libs usually happen. In some cases, the actor wouldn't know what he or she would be filming until the day before, and K-dramas may be delayed last minute if something sudden happens to the actors. Now, this kind of system allows us, the audience, to enjoy series faster. From casting news to full-fledged dramas, we may only have to wait for a couple of months. Furthermore, the screenwriter can also gauge the viewer's reaction, add relatable events and jokes, or change the script to match expectations. However, rushed filming and production do come with a fair share of flaws. And if you've ever finished an essay last minute after procrastinating for days, you will know what I'm talking about. For example, the first half of the series, which was well-researched and well-culminated, will always be solid, fun, with details carefully spanned out with well-written dialogues. However, the latter half, which might be written in mere days, may become a total failure with irrational characters, 500 events cramped into a single episode, poorly resolved issues, and also glaring technical problems. And the results? Well, it will kind of be like the horse drawing. What upsets me the most, though, will always be how many series became wasted potential over this. I can name some, like Itaewon Class, which went downhill after the time skip, Penthouse, which really needed to end earlier, or in a more controversial light, Jiri-san, where things keep on getting draggy and confusing. Most of the time, this inconsistency in writing also comes with a drastic change of tone. Have you ever watched a K-drama that starts super refreshing and bright and funny, only for it to get so dramatic and serious you want to quit? It happens so often with K-drama, since there's no proper time for transition, and I will never get used to it. Number 3. Childhood connection. Another thing that greatly annoys me about K-dramas is when the writer keeps thinking people need to be fated since childhood to develop feelings. Now, I don't mind when it's tropes like childhood friends to lovers, or when the couple's past together is actually important to the plot, like in She Was Pretty, for instance, since the childhood connection is actually what gets the wheels going. But most of the time, a childhood history is so randomly inserted, I see no point to it at all. Like, take Hometown Cha-Cha-Cha, for example. It was a great series for sure, but what's the point of having the female lead and the male lead meeting once they were like 6? Would a meeting they don't even remember have effects on their feelings in the present? Probably not. Or like, in her private life, what's the point of the childhood connection at all? I have met literally no one that enjoys the tragic past session of the series. In most cases, a childhood connection ruined the prospect of the relationship being actually meaningful. Like, instead of having a decent story of character development, where people learn to accept their feelings and grow to like someone, writers just take the lazy route and slap history onto the main couple. And suddenly, they're in love. Is it written in the law of Korea that people who have never met each other can't get married or something? Like, seriously. To conclude this section, I'm just going to quote Dukim from The Red Sleeve.
그 만남에 의미를 두실 필요가 있습니까?
Well said, Dukim. Number 4. The last-minute breakup. So, have you ever watched a K-drama where there isn't a breakup? Not very often, I would guess, since K-dramas have the habit of always kicking in 500 issues right before the end, and either the female lead or the male lead will try to leave for the other's sake. Now again, I don't have a problem when this trope is carried out properly. In Yumi's Cell, for example, we see a breakup coming, understand the reason behind such a decision, and instead of being slapped on the viewer's face at the very end, cracks in the main relationship can be noticed way early on. In Record of Youth, the breakup, while not 100% satisfying, also had hints leading to it, and so did not feel abrupt, but rather expected. However, most K-dramas seem to just add a breakup for the sake of it. They give us couples who overcome difficulties together through over 10 episodes, manage to get over their differences in personalities, class, life perspectives, or even fight against bad guys, but then break them up at the smallest issue, right before the series ends. A prime example of this would be Because This Is My First Life, where the female lead just dropped it all and disappeared over one issue, and then came back as if nothing happened. Like, seriously, what was even the purpose of this? Did the screenwriter just run out of ideas and had to randomly fulfill the 16-episode quota? Whatever the case, it ruins the entire romance development, and weakens what was supposed to be a strong relationship. Number 5. Poorly inserted advertisement. Finally, we are getting to the most annoying trope of all, the in-your-face product placement, aka advertisements. Like, have you watched that scene in Hometown Cha-Cha-Cha, when the male lead just started talking about pizza? Or the one in The King, Eternal Monarch, where they literally read out an entire kimchi ad mid-conversation?
맛있게 잘 익었네.
Or see characters eating Subway every minute of the day? These are all product placements, as in companies sponsor the dramas to put their products in. Now, advertisements are necessary since K-drama production obviously costs a lot of money. However, these ads should be inserted more subtly, and should not interrupt the flow of the series. Take My Ideas Gang of Beauty, for example. The entire point of that series is that beauty is also from the inside, that looks don't matter. And then suddenly, the female lead and her friend are talking about how they drink this specific brand of tea to have healthy skin and lose weight. And do I even have to talk about the diet pills that the female antagonist keeps drinking? For real though, PPLs don't always have to be bad, so newer K-dramas should learn a lesson. Tomorrow with You, for example, had inserted ads for robot vacuums into its storyline in a super interesting way, while Business Proposal took it even further, and made the entire setting a huge advertisement that never felt out of place nor in your face. All in all, these are some annoying tropes that I wish K-dramas would go without. What about you? Do you want these to disappear? Or do you have any other issues with K-dramas? Feel free to share with us in the comments. And if you want more videos like this, remember to like, share, and subscribe to Polydrama. See ya!